Have you ever wondered what really happens between the moment your offer is accepted and the day you get the keys? Why does that final stretch feel like both the most exciting and most nerve-wracking part of buying or selling a home? And who's actually behind the scenes making sure every document, signature, and wire transfer falls perfectly into place? Today, we're pulling back the curtain with my trusted partners at Tobias Title Company, the people who make sure the finish line is as smooth as possible. Welcome to Living the North Jersey Lifestyle, where real estate meets real life. I'm Betti Russo, realtor, community connector, and trusted advisor. In this podcast, I share conversations that bring insight, connection, and clarity to the way we live, work, and move here in North Jersey. And today, we're talking about what really happens between contract and closing and why understanding that process can save homeowners time, stress, and sometimes money. Please welcome my guest, Ron Aiosa of Tobias Title. Hi, Ron. Thank you
Betti.
for joining me.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me on.
This is fantastic. You know, we were just talking before we got started about, I think, and tell me if you agree, that most people don't really know what title is and what goes on with title because it all kind of happens behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, it's very disconnected. As far as all of the moving parts of the real estate transaction go, if you're a buyer or a seller, you usually never touch title once.
Okay.
That's usually being handled by the other vendors of the team that you kind of hire.
Right. And same thing, with me as a realtor. I'm on the emails, but I really, I'm included. I see everything that's going on, but a lot of the communication is between you and not you, but you or someone on your team and the attorneys and so on.
Yeah,
so
title team at the mortgage company, all that. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So let's take a peek. Why don't you tell me and tell our listeners what a title company really does? What's the purpose of title and why is it so important?
Yeah. So what title is insurance and protection on the actual ownership of the property, which I know can sound kind of abstract, but there's so many things in the legal world and in the real estate world that can affect somebody actually fully owning their property. Things like liens against the house, things like incorrectly discharged wills and easements and judgments and all that kind of stuff all affects you fully owning a property. And as it comes, when you do take that ownership of the property, if anything was attached to it before, it's attached to it still, and now you're responsible for those things. So our job is to run searches, figure out all of those problems ahead of time. Once we're confident that we've wiped the slate clean, we then put out an insurance policy to protect you from any of those things that come up in the future.
And that was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
So perfect lead in. What does that mean, title insurance? Like, we know what insurance is, but what does title insurance do? How does it protect the purchaser?
Yeah, so it's very different from other forms of insurance where, like your homeowner's insurance, your car insurance, where you're paying a monthly premium, and if, a future event happens, like a car accident or a flood or something like that, you file a claim and you get money to repair whatever damage has happened. Title insurance, usually its main goal is actually to protect you from the past. Mm-hmm. So after we do our searches and we get with the attorneys and we figure out all of any title issues that might be affecting the ownership of your property, and we clear those, we issue a policy to protect you from things that may not have come up.
Okay.
So what do I mean by that? If something was filed incorrectly by the county clerk's office or anything like that.
Like when you say something, what do you mean?
Yeah. So let's say there was a lien against the property. Mm-hmm. Let's say a previous owner owed taxes on it. Very common. And the county puts a lien against the house for that tax money. If that was not filed correctly, it won't come up on the search. That doesn't change the legality, unfortunately, that it's still owed.
Okay.
So now you take ownership of this property, you believe you have clean title, we did all of our work, everyone believes there's clean title, and it comes up later, there's new people in the county, they're going through their records, this house owes us X amount of dollars in back taxes. And they send you a letter. And you're like, oh no.
Oh my God.
So title insurance much like homeowners and car insurance, it's not going to protect you from the flood. It's not going to protect you from the car accident. But when those things do happen, it gives you the finances to deal with it. So there was a missed lien because of recording errors. It's $40,000 or just any random number like that. You file a claim with the title insurance company, and you get the money to cover the back taxes.
Interesting. And it is interesting. I'm always learning something new, when it comes to real estate. I mean, there's so many different parts, that are all happening. And, every transaction is different. So this is like a learning experience for me because I know, like, people get title insurance. I know that a title search is done, but like in my brain, I don't actually think about it too much because I'm always like, on a different part of the process. But I wondered, like, why do they need insurance if a title search was done?
Exactly.
And the title is clear. So that answers that question.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff that can come up in the past is stuff that was done improperly maybe, or for whatever reason was unable to come up on the searches, even though they were done incorrectly or they were missing or they were quote unquote hidden for any other reason. They're still legally binding liens and judgments and things of that nature.
Right.
So because the money would still be owed and the insurance is still needed.
Yeah, they don't care like why it wasn't clear.
Yeah.
They just know that there's still money owed.
Yeah, if you've
it has to be
ever
paid,
dealt with
regardless of whether you're the old homeowner or the new one.
Yeah, well, especially because I've been asked, why does it make sense that money that somebody else owed now I owe?
Right.
And I kind of explain it this way. Think of it like when you put up collateral for a loan at the bank.
Mm-hmm.
They need something that has real value. So when a lien goes up, it doesn't go towards you. It goes towards something that you own that has real value. In this case, real estate.
Right.
So when you're now no longer owning that property, the lien still stays with the thing that has real value that could produce money if it ever needed to be seized for like unpaid taxes and things like that.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be a big problem for someone if that comes up. And is there any time in this lifetime in this real estate world where somebody would not have title insurance?
Oh, a lot.
Really?
Yeah, way more than you think. So it comes down to poor education, and unfortunately, sometimes people are not being guided correctly by their attorneys, or in areas where they don't have attorneys, they just have no guidance at all.
You're right, because a lot of areas don't use attorneys for closings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or even just to advise them throughout the transaction in any sense. They don't have them. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, so then in those areas, it's kind of left up to the real estate agent to also now become a legal expert.
But when the attorneys are not present for, the transaction in those areas where it's not needed, or they just don't do that. Not that it's not needed. They just don't do it that way. Isn't it usually the title company that's closing, that's doing the closing?
Yeah, so we're pretty much always doing the closing anyway. So when you're buying a house and it's the day of closing and you get to the closing table where you sign all your papers and boom, now we can have the keys. This is our house now. The people that you're sitting across from the table with 9 out of 10 times are going to be the title insurance company anyway.
Right.
Even if there is an attorney present, just because the attorneys also like using title to close. We have better opportunities as larger businesses to hold a lot more business insurance for ourselves and then be able to do these closings. So now think of just like a regular real estate attorney. Sometimes it's just one person.
Yeah.
And that's a small business. Whereas title companies were usually large businesses, or at least owned by larger businesses as well. So we have huge business insurance. So when we're sitting down and we're doing these deals of $500,000, $1 million, $2 million plus dollars in transaction, we can comfortably have the insurance to cover ourselves if anything goes awry.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So attorneys love that. They're like, go ahead.
Yeah, they're like, do it. Take it off on my plate.
Like, I'll be there, but you do it.
Yeah, exactly. But which is great. I love it when the title company is there during closings. I don't know why. It's just like an extra person to make sure that everything is the way it should be. And yeah.
Yeah, and they're the closers that we use, they've done so many closings. There's nothing they haven't seen before. They're always prepared for everything. They always know how to talk to the buyers and talk them through this document and what this means and how it affects them. They put everyone at ease. It's real nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So then I have to ask you, have you ever, I'm sure you have experienced a time where something came up on someone's property? Not in the title search part of it. Well, yeah, that part, but also then the insurance part, down the road.
Yeah.
Have you seen that come back?
Yeah, so there's a huge disconnect between those two, funny enough. So
Yes.
on the title search, title issues will come up more than a third of the time.
Really?
So on it's like 36% is Alta's number of all real estate transactions in the U.S., residential real estate transactions, will have title issues come up on the initial search. Now, like I said, everyone then works to clear those before closing. A lot of the time, some of the stuff that comes up, like when name searches are run for judgments, they're not even against the sellers. They're against people with similar names or something along those
You're
lines.
right. I've seen that long page of
Yep.
names in judgments,
Yep.
and the buyer has to then approve these are not me.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
So a lot of the times those get cleared ahead of time. But when it comes to the actual filing a claim towards your insurance for something, title insurance has the lowest rate of claims of all the insurance industries in the U.S. Less than 5% of policies held will ever have a claim filed against them. So it's very, very rare. But when it does happen, it's good to have it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Because some of these claims can be astronomical. You never know what goes on in these, in the past in regards to these properties, how much some of these liens and judgments and back taxes and XYZ, how much money that could be accumulating that you then owe.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So home buyers, make sure you have title insurance.
Yeah.
If you don't work with an attorney in whatever area you live in, I think even down the shore, they use title companies to do
half and half,
closings.
yeah.
They don't use attorneys, and title companies are great, but you never know. The attorney is that extra layer of protection.
Yeah.
Make sure you have title insurance.
Yeah. It's not even expensive.
Yeah.
It's of all the things that you're doing in the transaction, it's the cheapest one.
And I'm glad that
By
you
far.
said that, because title insurance, the cost of title insurance is the same no matter which title company you go to, correct?
Yeah,
But
so-
it differs based on the property that's being purchased.
Yeah, so the value of the home is going to affect the cost for your policy, but the percentages and the rates for the policy are set by New Jersey's Department of Banking and Insurance. So one title company can't charge you more for the same policy than another.
Right.
They're identical in terms of the actual policy, yeah.
So then somebody might think, well, it doesn't matter what title company I use. I always refer people to Tobias, and I work with attorneys that are, happy to work with Tobias. But what about that person who thinks well, it really doesn't matter, It matters, and tell us what makes Tobias different.
Yeah, so it matters when you're working with people because if price is the price set across all industries, not even title insurance, if you look at just any other service and everyone always has the same prices, and now you can no longer judge based on price, what do you have left to judge on? Service.
Exactly.
Service and product, which is still huge. That's an enormous part of it. So what's nice about us is we offer, when it comes to the buyer side of things, we offer more than just a regular title insurance policy. We have something called an enhanced protection policy. It's maybe 20% more in terms of the price that you pay at the policy for the premium. But if a regular title policy covers 7 potential items, this covers around 33. The most important thing to know about it is a regular title policy will cover events that happened in the past but come up in the future. The enhanced policy will cover things that are yet to happen, liens that are yet to be filed, things of that nature.
So interesting. With the enhanced policy, if something comes up in the future, what is done about it?
Yeah, so if something is filed in the future that will affect the ownership of your home, if you have this enhanced policy, it will still pay out. one of the most popular items, or I shouldn't say popular, one of the most ones that people ask about the most is fraud, which is a huge issue. Just today, I encountered somebody attempting wire fraud on one of my clients, maybe 2 hours ago.
What?
They were posing as me.
What?
They were reaching out to the client, and they were asking for them to wire the deposit. And
oh my gosh.
luckily, the attorney caught it.
We're always warning our clients against that, to be very careful.
Very careful. Yeah, so fraud is a huge problem in real estate just because it's such an easy spot for a fraudster to insert themselves. There's so many moving parts. Usually the buyer and the seller are novices in terms of what's going on, so they just kind of take things as they come. It's a confusing process, easy for fraud to slip in. So how that affects your title policy with the enhanced policy is if anyone tries to file something on the home that you already own. Mm-hmm. So identity theft is huge in the United States.
Yep.
And one of the biggest ways that people get money through identity theft is through real estate, where once they have your identity and they've stolen all this information, they then will either try to take a cash out refinance, or they will file a new deed, and that's how you know things are going on, all stuff like that. In those situations, which you're usually just out of luck, you're just dealing with the police from that point on. You're dealing with a crime issue.
Right.
If you have this policy, you at least now don't have to worry about any of the money that's going on with it. So if somebody takes the cash out refinance against the home, against your loan that you own, this policy will get you that money back.
Wow.
Instead of just waiting.
Sorry.
Just waiting on the FBI to figure something out,
wow.
you know?
Okay.
That's
really
it's huge.
scary.
It's huge, yeah. It does a lot of cool things. It protects you against if, let's say, you're buying a vacant lot and you're being told that you can build a single-family house on it or a multifamily house, something like that, and you close and you begin construction and the town steps in and go, actually, mistake, you cannot build that here. It's not zoned correctly. You can't do that. We can help money-wise with that now.
Yeah, because what do you do after you already own the property?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you can't do with it what you wanted.
Yeah, lost all this money. So that's stuff that's really cool that we can offer to clients. That's cool. That's on the product side of things. But on the service side of things, because you're only dealing with product and service now, not price, is I described it this way to agents. And if you're a buyer, listen to your agent all the time, please. Because if you're a buyer, even if you've moved the most out of everyone you've ever met in your life, that's still what, like 6 or 7 transactions?
If that.
Yeah, right?
If that.
Where your agent has done, even some people on the low end of 6 or 7 each year. Right. And they know what's going on. They've seen things. And they've, through those years of experience and doing all these transactions, have kind of built a team. Yes. So the agent has their mortgage guy. They have their title person. They have their home inspector. They have their attorney. They have XYZ. They have all that. And all of these people know each other. They've closed deals together. They've encountered problems on deals together. And they click. They work together constantly and well. So when it comes to Tobias, especially with you, we work with your lenders. We work with your attorney. We've done all these things together. When problems arise, which again, like I said, more than a third of transactions, problems are coming up just on title.
Yeah.
Obviously, problems come up on all transactions,
yep.
But on this side of things, when that happens, you have people that know how to work together to get things done.
Your team.
Your team.
Yes, I love
and
that.
When you say team, you can think of it like a football team. This is what I said to agents the other day. If you had to, because remember, you're buying a house. Let's say $500,000, just put a figure out there. Let's change that to a bet. Let's say you're sports betting, and you have to put $500,000 down as a bet for 2 football teams. One is a team that has been playing together for X amount of years. They've won X amount of games together. They practice together. They talk. They do strategy. And you have another team that is all meeting each other for the very first time at the first snap of the ball.
That's scary.
Which team are you putting $500,000
Yes,
down on?
the team that's already a team.
Exactly.
100%.
So that's the biggest thing. So for us and for you, we have these people that we worked with. We all know how to work together well. And when problems come up, we handle them together and the deals get closed.
I cannot even thank you enough for saying that. It's funny because I just did a reel on Instagram the other day about a recent closing that I had. Tobias was the title company. My buyer also used my recommended attorney, my recommended home inspector, and my recommended lender, the whole package. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It's beautiful when that happens because we all work together. And that's how I explain it to my clients as well. When I recommend someone, everyone's free to choose, who they want to choose. But here's what you get when you choose my team, which is awesome.
Oh my God, absolutely. It's such a huge factor. And you have to deal with, the stereotype is the buyer's dad is coming in like, don't listen to what they say. You got to do X, Y, and Z. They're trying to give you their guys because they make money from their guys. All funny stuff like that.
And we don't. Not at all. Not at all.
You know when we make money? When the deal closes.
Yes, exactly.
So you get people that make that deal close.
Yes, exactly.
That's the motivation.
Exactly. Well, the other thing about having your trusted team in place is that we do get the deals closed. Mm-hmm. I can't remember a time where I had a deal, fall through unless it was my client that was backing out for some reason that, like I had somebody that backed out because there were so many home inspection issues that the seller wasn't willing to address. Like in that case, that's different.
Yeah, it's unrelated to your approach as the
exactly.
team, yeah.
Otherwise, as a team, we get to closing. Yeah, we get to closing,
absolutely.
And that's the ultimate goal, right? So, what do you think buyers or sellers can do to help, avoid some of these issues? Is there anything they can do?
So there actually is. One of them being that team thing, like we said, is having the right people on it from the get-go and having them early too. So title issues take time to deal with. Mm-hmm. Some people like to imagine there's send an email, this is good, and then everything's clear. Unfortunately, it's not the case.
No.
You're dealing with courts, you're dealing with the county, you're dealing with government hired attorneys. That things take time.
Right. And speaking of attorneys, it's really important for the attorney to start that, or not the attorney and the title company together to get that process started
as soon as possible.
Yep.
So I always tell people, the second you're out of attorney review where you are under contract and things start moving, that's the time to order title.
Yep.
We can start now. That's better than, we're going to wait to see if the home inspections,
No.
We're going to wait for this. And then all of a sudden, you're 11 days from closing going, all right, we want to order title now.
Sorry.
And then you order title and we find something that's going to take 30 days to clear.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, but their rate lock is going to expire. I'm like, I know what to tell you.
We told you.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Yeah.
So getting a team together and getting everything started early is huge. But there is something sellers can do too that buyers actually can't.
Okay.
That sellers can prepare for ahead of time. As a homeowner, as a seller, you can get a title search done on your property without getting any insurance, just the information.
Okay.
So you're selling your home, you're getting everything ready. What do? You're power washing the siding, you're putting flowers out.
You're prepping the home if you're my client.
Yes, and that's all awesome. That's going to look real good in the MLS. But how do you know if there's significant factors that are looming in the shadows that you can't see,
right,
that are going to put everything to rest? Oh, you have no idea. Oh my gosh, when we do a search, or when that buyer comes in and their title company does a search, there's 11 liens against the house. None of them are me, but But what do we do? If you get what we call a non-insurance title search, so it's just a search, no insurance attached to it. We give you the information, and then you do with it as you will. Mm-hmm. If the seller does that ahead of time, and then they clear any of those issues with their seller's attorney that comes up beforehand, mm-hmm. Now by the time you go under contract,
it's already done.
Yeah, there's going to be a title insurance company from the buyers that are going to do their own due diligence, of course, but there's going to be nothing on it.
That's amazing.
And you're clear.
That's amazing.
You're not going to run into day 29 of your 30-day closing to find that there's massive issues that take a long time to be settled. There's, especially like you mentioned down the shore before, there's riparian right issues, there's easement issues, there's this, there's that. That all take tremendous amounts of time. If you do that long beforehand, you have everything settled, you're good to go.
Right. And I would imagine that when something comes up with title and it's close to closing day, I mean, I would imagine that sometimes a buyer walks away because they're just not dealing with it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's very frequently, especially on like estate issues.
Yeah.
That'll come up at the last minute. That's a big one for us is we spend the whole transaction trying to get in touch with like the estate attorney and get information back from the executors of the estate. But obviously those are very messy and emotional situations. There's a lot of turmoil. There's a lot of confusion going on. So usually if I'm talking about deals where things tend to pop up later than sooner, it does end up being like estate issues.
Right.
And that buyers hate to see that coming because you, as a buyer, you go through so much when you're working with a property that's being sold as an estate anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
So really quick before we wrap, because it's funny, I was going to ask you this before, but then I didn't because you were answering so many questions about like the different things that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
But as the conversation continues now, like you keep throwing in more things that can happen. Like what can happen? Estates, like liens, like
Yeah. So the most common thing that you're going to see as a title problem. There's two sides. There's physical things, and then there's the immaterial things. So your physical things that come up almost all the time are, not almost all the time, but very common, are easements and encroachments. Mm-hmm. Easement being there's a piece of the property that somebody else has a right to use even though you own it. Most common ones are shared driveways or there's a pipeline, like the Newark pipeline for the water runs under your property.
right.
Those are common. And then encroachment, especially up Sussex County where there's large swaths of land and no like super clear property boundaries.
Wow. Okay.
There's part or all of a structure like a shed or a pool or anything on your
the property.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That somebody else owns, but it's on the part of property that you own. So those are very common. And then on the immaterial side of things, the most common things are just going to be liens from the DMV. Mm-hmm. Those are outrageously common. So
That's weird. I would never
it's
have
very
thought of
common.
that.
Like on all the title binders that I review that have liens on them, there is so much from the DMV.
That is so bizarre.
Yeah, that's or the MVC in New Jersey. When they put out their lien, it goes onto the house.
Interesting.
Yeah, very funny enough. So motor vehicle stuff, and then unfortunately, child support.
Oh,
So the reason you see that so frequently is because as a state, New Jersey's actually very good at making sure child support is paid.
Okay.
If you owe child support in New Jersey, you can't do anything, let alone buy or sell a property. Fishing, like if you want to fish down the shore with your saltwater permit, that's a free permit. If you owe child support, you can't get that free permit.
Wow.
So New Jersey's
That's awesome, actually.
Yeah, it's cool. So New Jersey's very serious about it. The only problem is, just like with any other local government trying to get things done, when it comes to the actual discharge of it, it's very bad. Even if things have been discharged, maybe it's not properly, or things of that nature, they will stick around for a long time. So they come up very frequently on title searches.
Oh, wow.
So I have so many situations where, we're talking to the attorney. We're like, all right, here's the title binder. We look through it. There's X, Y, and Z for child support judgments. And the agent's like, that doesn't make any sense. My client is 85 years old and their child's 60. Like, they don't owe any child support. And I have to explain to them, I'm like, it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
If they turned 18 and they're emancipated and you thought everything was filed correctly and the state of New Jersey says, actually, you owe 27 cents to the child's mother, you're not doing anything until that 27 cents is paid.
That's amazing.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Wow.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
So then we have to, unfortunately, as the title company, we can't do any of that work, but we get that information. The seller's attorney with their seller have to
They have to clear it
They
up.
have to go through the rigmarole with
Right.
the state and county. Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah, and that's, as you can imagine, it's not fast.
No,
It's
definitely
not a fast process.
No.
Even if no money is owed. I've had ones where the lien amount was $0. $0.00.
But it wasn't closed out correctly?
But it wasn't closed out.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that being the case, your mortgage lender is usually the one that says we can't fund until that's clear.
Yeah, and that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I'm glad I asked that question
Yeah.
because I never knew. Who would have known?
Yeah.
With all of that said, what is the one piece of advice you'd give a buyer or a seller, whichever, pick one?
Yeah. So for your buyer, my single one piece of advice is, before everything else, find yourself a good real estate agent. Find yourself a trusted real estate agent.
Hey.
And let them be your head coach.
Yeah.
That's it. There's so many people that come in with a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But like we said, it's a team. You are making this like legal real estate team to do this large transaction on your behalf, this large investment. You want to make sure that you have the right people and that you let them do their job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I alluded to before, I closed like 400 real estate transactions last year. We've seen a
That's
lot
awesome.
of real estate transactions.
Yeah.
So obviously, as the buyer, as the seller, you have a greater personal stake in your transaction. But you're working with people that know more and they've seen more. Those are the professionals. Let them find the right people. Let them bring in more of the right people, and then let them do their job.
That is
That's
the best piece of advice I've heard all day, all week, all month. No, you know what? It's true. I think the emotional side of the transaction, you know, it gets inside of people's head and they want to get like advice from everyone they know. And
Yeah.
it's not always like people think that they know everything. And I give people credit. I'm not saying anything bad about that, but just
Yeah, of course.
if you're not doing this all the time, you know, there's a lot that you don't know. So
Yeah, you never know what you don't know until you find out what
that's
you don't know.
right.
So, yeah, you could get all the advice in the world from like friends and family and loved ones that have been in these situations before, and you can respect their opinion, and they could be the smartest people you know, but none of them have done more transactions than your real estate agent.
Right.
Full stop.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't know everything I didn't know today about whatever we talked about.
Yeah.
So there. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Ron.
You're very welcome. I
This
appreciate
has been
being here.
great. It's been a great lesson for me and our viewers and listeners as well. So I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
If you found this conversation helpful, share it with a friend who's buying or selling a home. You can connect with Ron Aiosa at Tobias Title Company through the links in the show notes. And if you're thinking about your next move here in North Jersey, reach out. I'd love to help you plan your strategy with confidence.